30 degrees.
It's Indianapolis Center. Do you have any test operations restricted area 2508?
Area 31, roger. Traffic is quite luminous and is exhibiting some non-ballistic motion, over.
Roger, Aries 31. Continue descent at your discretion, over.
Okay, Center. The traffic is approaching head-on, ultra bright, and really moving. They're right by us right now.
There are 1,000 UFO sightings reported around the world every month. 90% of these sightings can be explained, but 10% cannot. Officially and unofficially, the U.S. military has been investigating UFOs since 1947. Their top secret goal is to find out what's behind these unexplained sightings. The Pentagon classifies them as unusual airborne anomalies, but a better term is X-Files. Join us now as Mack, Wanwan, and Commander Cobra explore these unsolved cases, UFO incidents that baffle even the U.S. military. This is Mack Maloney's Military X-Files. And now, here's Mack Maloney.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. What a show we have for you tonight. But first, let me introduce the members of the posse/party. Girls, get ready. Sit yourselves down, put that mister on, put that fan on, get that extra big box of Kleenex and that extra small pack of wipes, because the very famous Wanwan is here.
Hello, Mac. How's it going? Glad to be here tonight. I'm really excited about the show tonight.
Are you really?
And I know the girls will be excited about the show.
The girls.
And we'll tune in and stay with us for the entire 2 hours.
Oh, okay. It depends on how much.
At least it's mandated that they do that.
Depends on how much foreplay. Wow, what am I doing?
True.
What am I doing? I'm looking. Anyway.
I was expecting that.
Yeah, I know. Me neither, because my eyes weren't on the screen, as they should have been. Hey, listen, Coco's going to be joining us later. But up there in the bowl of flakes, national correspondent, Switchblade Steve Ward. Stevie. Switchy. Stevie.
It is great to be here.
Okay. How's things with you?
Good to see you, Switcho.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
I like your comic book background tonight.
That's actually Holt magazines from the 20s. Amazing.
Oh,
story.
It is? Okay.
That's his wallpaper.
Really? Wow.
Okay, that voice you just heard is joining us.
Is it
for my
Pulp Fiction
presentation?
Yeah. The amazing story.
No, not the fake Pulp Fiction. This is real Pulp Fiction.
Okay, I get it. Right.
Okay.
Science fiction.
Science fiction. Speaking of science fiction, calling from his bunker, looking out at the rest of us, not Coco, it's Asian X. Exy, how you doing?
Never better. Thanks for having me,
Never
Mac.
better. Okay, interesting.
Never better.
I'm going to move on. I wanted to comment about his haircut. He said he got a haircut today, but I'm not buying that. Unless
Looks like a haircut.
High and tight.
It looks like
First time.
Shaved the top of his head.
It could be his makeup people.
That's true. Switch. Also joining us to keep us in line tonight, our security chief, Willie Clubb, down in beautiful Methuen, Massachusetts. Clubby.
Hi, Mac. Hi, folks.
Hey, Clubb.
I feel another big night. I just like Wanwan. It's something in the air tonight.
Is it really?
There is.
Okay.
There is.
Close the window.
We'll see. Yeah, better close the window. Thank you, Switch. Also joining us for a segment coming up is our good friend Matt Phillips. Hello, Matt. How you doing, Matt?
Good, thanks.
Okay.
I appreciate you having me on, and it must be haircut day because I did myself today.
Really? Well, that could be taken several different ways, but well.
I'm talking haircut.
Okay, there you
Looks
go.
like a good marine cut.
There you go. High and tight.
There you go. Once again. All right, listen.
Yes,
So
sir.
we have to class up the show here because a little angel has floated in on us. She has a special mission tonight. Joining us, taking time
She's
out.
giving us this look that there's already been inappropriate content, so you better clean it up starting now.
That's an
Just to
international.
let her know, don't worry, you're not the only one that has been scandalized by
yeah.
what I've heard.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, there's already a word in my script I'm not saying. So.
Oh, really? Wow.
Come on,
She
man.
needs the scripts approved ahead of time. It's the beautiful Lois Lane. Lois, how are you doing tonight?
I'm great, Matt. How is everybody tonight?
Everybody's fine. Hi, Lois.
I have a very quick update.
Okay, go ahead.
Commander Cobra is in the virtual green room,
this is what we need. Here we
even
go.
as we speak.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Here, let's bring him in right on the air, okay? It's a hot landing, I think. Coming
Well,
in
don't let him
hot.
bust in on Doreen's introduction.
That's
Come
true.
on.
Okay. Doreen, whoever that
Because
is.
he's Cobra. That doesn't mean
I mean,
squat
there he
right
is. He had got a tie on.
I think you were being badmouthed by Juan.
Coco, this is why we got to be a TV show. This is
Good evening.
It looks like Hollywood Squares. Hi, Coco. How you doing?
Almost.
Coco.
Guys, hear me?
Yes, yes. Can you hear us?
On the air.
Can you?
I can't hear you, so we'll figure out what's going on with that.
All right. While you're figuring that out, let's finish introducing Lois Lane.
Right. So, Lois, listen, you have a little announcement that you want to give us. What this week is the end of the Goodreads competition, free copy of Mack Maloney's latest book, Battle of the Wingmen, on sale everywhere and on Amazon. And the Goodreads people were nice enough to sponsor a contest for us. 1,200 people applied, and we're going to pick 6 winners tonight. Okay, everyone got the bit? It's not a bit. This is really. Got it. But Lois is going to take their names out of the magic fishbowl, and the magic fishbowl has been hacked by the Russians. That's the bit. Okay, here we go. Ready? This is the 6 winners of Battle of the Wingmen, autographed copy by Mack Maloney. Please, Lois. The first winner is.
Okay, so I'm reaching into the bowl, and the very first winner. Are you ready? Or is there a drum roll or anything?
Well, there will be now.
That's going to be inserted later.
Yes.
Okay, it's Muhammad Mahad from Bethlehem, PA.
Muhammad Mahad from Bethlehem, PA. I wouldn't have been surprised if it said Bethlehem, Palestine. But anyway. Next one, please.
Yeah.
We'll cut that
out. Okay, winner number 2. All the way from Scarborough, Ontario, is Natasha Peebles.
Oh, what a name. Natasha Peebles. Okay, sounds good.
I like that name.
Yep, okay.
That's
Peebles.
a lot of fun.
Excellent.
Peebles, yeah.
All right.
And Natasha is just like that name. Okay. All right, I'm reaching in.
Yes.
Name number 3, Teddy. Oh, I'm not reading this one. I'm going to reach in and get another one. It's Teddy Coco's post-op gelding mini horse.
Well, he's not a mini horse. He's actually a pony.
He got
16 hands.
There you go.
The fishbowl got hacked by the Russians. Okay, next one, please.
All right, so obviously you put some joke ones in this bowl, and I picked that one.
Nothing gets by you,
the Russians.
Lois. Nothing gets by you. You must be amazing at casinos.
You'd think I would know by now.
Please.
But I am always surprised.
Please,
okay, I'm going to reach in and get
all the magic of Lois right there somehow in 1 sentence.
Are you ready? The real winner for number 3 is Barbara White DePlains.
Illinois.
Barbara White DePlains.
DePlains,
no,
Illinois?
Barbara White. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I didn't read it right. I didn't notice my punctuation.
What is
It's
it?
Barbara White from Des Plaines, Illinois.
Right,
Excellent.
yes, okay, sounds good.
Got it.
Nice place.
Now, do you pronounce that S, Des Plaines, when you don't pronounce
I
the
think so.
It's a 2-hour show, Lois. Go ahead. Next one, please.
Sorry. That's the teacher in me coming out. Okay,
Definitely.
let me reach in. Good. Number 4. Winner number 4 is Susan Liebert from Janesville, Wisconsin.
Okay, up there where...
okay, so I'm noticing that a lot of females are winning. That's interesting.
How come?
This is the winners of
Well, they make up more than the population, more than half the population.
Don't get in. That's another show.
They listen to Juan.
Listen.
That's it, yeah.
I just want to tell people that we're picking the winners of the Goodreads contest for a free autographed copy of Battle of the Wingmen, the latest book by Mack Maloney. Here we go. Go ahead, Lois.
That's
I think we have 2 more people.
All right.
2 more winners.
We do. So winner number 5 is Sheila Nelson from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh, nice.
Wonderful town.
A nice place, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and we have our last winner.
No, wait a minute. Isn't there... the Russians hacked the fishbowl, so please stick with the bit.
Yes, the next name is Casper Bob the Ghost's long-lost love child.
It's inside, but why not?
Inside info there. Inside info.
Go ahead, please.
Obviously, I'm not in on all the inside jokes, but really, truly, the 6th and final winner of the Big Mack Maloney's Battle of the Wingmen free book giveaway from Goodreads is Joseph Carano from Bridgeview, Illinois.
Yeah.
2 Illinois.
Yeah, most people up in
So, Mac, real quick, every time Lois says Teddy's name, he winnows out in the barn.
Really? Yeah, just like me. Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
I don't know what that's all about.
Happens to me when she says my name,
That's
too.
just amazing.
Lois, thank you.
Lois Blucher, right?
The Lois Blucher.
Like Frau Brucker.
There's a number of Lois bloopers, as it turns out. Lois, thank you for joining us.
Good job, Lois.
Spread your little wings and fly away now.
Well done. Well done.
Thanks for squaring us all away, too.
Yes, for the time being, anyway.
Yes,
thank
clean
you, Lois.
up your act.
Oh, why?
And Teddy is really, really excited to see you soon.
Teddy the gelding. Even on geldings there, Lois, you cast your magic spell. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take a commercial break now? I know, no one did. And you're listening to Mack Maloney's Military Exile Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We'll be right back after this.
Who's flying ghost airplanes over the city of Los Angeles? Why are the northern lights appearing over America in the daytime? How can an entire fleet of warships suddenly disappear at sea? Find out in Mack Maloney's new book, Battle of the Wingmen, number 20 in the best-selling Wingman series. Follow the adventures of Hawk Hunter as he and his friends sail the world's largest aircraft carrier into the vast unknown. Can Hawk save America from an attack by a mysterious Asian army? Who is the mysterious redhead haunting his dreams? And who will win the dogfight of the century? Who is the best fighter pilot in the world? Who really is Top Gun? Find out in Wingman number 20, Battle of the Wingmen by Mack Maloney. On sale now on Amazon and at bookstores everywhere.
And I just kept going on and on about myself. I'm taking a leak in the driveway. He says, I know you'd like to talk to total stranger. This story's got nothing to do with the Bruins game. It's what happened with Grandma. I was wondering if those were sadomasochism straps or something. But I digress. From what, I don't know.
Get into the beautiful mind of Wan Wan, only on the Mack Maloney Military X-Files Show.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military Exile Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. What a show we have for you tonight. Very quickly, I'm going to introduce the members of the posse/party. The very famous Wan is here, girls. JJ.
Hello, Mac. Hello, girls. Hello, everybody.
Everything okay with you?
Everything's good.
How
got a little sick dachshund right now.
Dachshund? What's the matter?
Coming along.
What's the matter? Anger management?
No, a little gastro, a little GI problem.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
The dachshund looked in the mirror, saw the size of how big he is.
Oh, that's inappropriate. That voice you just heard joining us on the wing, as they say. They call him Coco on the streets, but it's Commander Cobra up there in the Great White North, Maine, looking out at us from
Good evening, sir. As always, a privilege to join the formation.
Good. Okay, everything good with
Cobra.
you?
Things are going well, sir. Things are going well. Busy, but well.
Up there in the Boulder Flakes, Battle Creek, Michigan, the Battle Creek of the Republic, our national correspondent, Switchblade Steve Ward. Switchy.
Great to be here tonight.
Okay. We're going to get back to you.
Great to see you, Switch.
You know why. I'm never sure which way to introduce these two characters, so I'm just going to go left to right. From his bunker, that looks like a jail cell, frankly, the kind of famous Agent Xy. You there?
Thank you for having me, Mac. And you are right. Based on what you said, this looks like a super show.
Okay. Are you going to give
always unbridled enthusiasm from Agent X?
Yeah.
Yes.
You want to give us some...
I feel like I pulled 4 Gs right there, just as he was talking.
You want to give us some Cleon there, X?
Question for you, Bill. Was Van Halen and Valerie Bertinelli, were they a thing? Or
yes, they were married. Their thing was so much they were married.
About 30 years ago there. I got to cut all this out. X, are you going to give us some Cleon tonight? Can you rip off some Cleon for us?
That's a bit disparaging if you're talking about the beautiful Irish Gaelic language.
Well, we'll give us some Gaelic and let us decide. Come on.
I love the sound of that.
Right. Watch any Star Trek show with the Cleons. That's Gene Roddenberry's joke on all of us. He just took Gaelic and made it Cleon. Come on.
Gaelic has a sound where it sounds like pulling thistles out of your skin.
Okay, all right.
That would be Scotland.
Why don't you just
it's clover on Ireland?
Clover in Ireland? Okay.
Insult the wrong country. That's good. Listen, our security chief is here keeping us in line tonight, okay? It's only a 2-hour show. He looks a lot like Whitey Bulger, but we don't hold that against him. It's our security chief, Willie Clubb. Willie, how you doing?
Hey, Mac. Hi, folks. Great to be here.
Okay.
Aaron Go Bra.
Aaron Go Bra. That's Klingon as well. You got your little friend beside you there. Once again, I wish we were a TV show, but you have a pumpkin beside you.
He's my sidekick, and he gives me ideas during the show.
Really? Yeah?
Very helpful.
Oh, really? You might want to see something about that. Anyway, listen, let's just get to our guest, and then we're going to get to Switchy real quick. Matt Phillips is joining us if he's still with us. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you, and I've enjoyed all of this back and forth bantering.
Really? Yeah? Okay. All right. I guess someone had to enjoy it.
I'm easily amused.
Okay. All right. There you go. Okay. Bada bing and then bada bing.
Good deal, Matt.
Matt, where are you located?
I am in the Great Smoky Mountains of western North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
2,600 feet in Hendersonville, North Carolina.
Nice. Okay. Oh. Yeah, people say it's like a beautiful part of the world, right?
Oh, it's absolutely. I retired here. I built a place about 7 years ago. The closest neighbor is it's a gated community, but it's about a half mile away.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm at the only house on this particular block, and it's I love it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Me and two Fufus, two Shih Tzus.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow, yeah. Okay, all right, that's
cute.
good to have two. All right,
Yeah.
What's the best season to be down there? Summer or all year round?
You know, the reason why I came here is, and I did an awful lot of, looking into where I wanted to be planted from, quite frankly, and this is where it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's great because in the summer you have 2 months, 80 degrees. It doesn't get much higher than that. And the humidity based on the altitude is such that you have very low humidity.
Yep.
Then you have a elongated spring that's gorgeous, a real long fall. And like I say, I'm in the woods. So, it's gorgeous. And then you get 2 months of winter. And I like winter.
Yeah.
I just don't like, I was in Buck Hill Falls, Pennsylvania for a while, and that was 6 months of winter.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get down to 16 degrees, but we'll get snow a couple times. But then it's 40 degrees the next day, and the snow is gone.
That's
so
not
you
bad.
get all 4 seasons. But for me, the 2 best seasons are spring and fall, and they're the bigger part of the year.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, a lot of people have said that about that part of the world. They just love it. They fall in love with it the first time they see it. But listen, now, Matt, you're here to talk to us about coffee, right?
Correct.
Okay, so
and our mission of supporting the Semper Fi Fund and our wounded troops from all service.
Okay, so before we do that, I'm going to go back over to Switchy because this is the most listened to part of our show, according to the SKU. And it's called Switchy, What Did You Have for Breakfast? So you ready, Switch? Now, let me just review. All right, last week, I forget what...
I have a question.
Okay,
Mac, are you telling me that people tune out after this? If it's the most listened to segment?
What's the matter with that?
Shouldn't we do this at the end?
Really, what's the matter?
People guessing?
You know, we should do it at the end.
We don't want to lose the audience.
Okay. Well, can I tell you, I can barely remember it 10 minutes in. Okay, so 2 hours... Forget about it. So look at
like Joe Biden.
There you go. Hey, don't say it. No, I got to cut that out. Switchy, the world wants to know, what did you have for breakfast?
For breakfast this morning, I opened up the freezer and I dug out 2 frozen waffles, Eggo waffles, put them in the toaster, heated them up, heated up some bacon, and 3 pieces of bacon. And waffles with log cabin syrup.
Yes.
They still allow you to put the log cabin on the syrup.
Okay.
And butter.
It's just
and
liquid sugar.
And
that's okay.
Black coffee.
Yes. Drink it like a man. Okay. Good for you, Switchy. So let's review. 2 with the extra fluffy kind of waffles?
No, I had, you can only have so many of those. I've got 2 more of those in the freezer. But I'm going normal frozen waffles right now.
All right. Okay. So noted. All right.
I can eat a whole box of those things.
And then,
and what was your brand of coffee?
Yeah.
There you go.
Smarty.
I don't remember. It's some kind. It was a friend of mine sent us some, and it's not like a flavored coffee or anything like that. It's normal coffee, and it's pretty good. But I don't. It's one of these that comes in like a paper bag kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm not up on the brands of coffee to tell you what it is.
Are they donating 50% of their profits to the Semper Fi Fund to support our wounded troops?
This guy is good.
I'll check with my people to find out.
I ended up in the coffee business, trading green coffee, and lived in Brazil for several years.
Really?
Then was the trading manager for the largest exporter of coffee in the world, Tristal Trading. Then I went to work for a company that asked me to run their international business, their headquarters, and I located that in Garden City in New York on Long Island. And it was right down the block from 1st Marine Corps Recruiting District headquarters. And I befriended the Marines there and did all I could to support them and their families. And when I retired in 2005, I went to them and said, I never had an opportunity to serve, so I was hoping that you could get me a deployment to Iraq. And in 2008, I deployed to Iraq as part of the OIF, LOGCAP Logistical Support Mission. And then I was at Camp Liberty initially, but then I volunteered to forward deploy and was sent up to FOB Warrior in Kirkuk.
Wow.
And the only way, initially, because of my background in commodities and the fact that I ran a $750 million trading operation. I was given a job it was with KBR in procurement, senior procurement. And when I would call my monitor every week saying, when am I going to get over? And finally she said, Matt, with your uplifts, you're going to make over $200,000. You're going to be in the green zone. You're going to be in a cubicle. You're going to have your own hotel room with your own your own bathroom. And she said, there's only a few of these people at that level and they don't give it up. And so she said, I don't know, it might be a year or more. And I said, well, what do you have that can get me over right away? She said, the only thing we have is the mail mission. She said, and you'd be humping foot lockers 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. You wouldn't be making any more than $80,000 with the uplifts. Obviously, the money wasn't the important thing. But she said, you'll be living in a dry can and using a community head. And, if you forward deploy, you'll take incoming fire now and then. And she said, but that's the best I can do for you. And I said, no, sign me up.
The best. Now,
and,
can I just interrupt for a second? I just got to make sure we get this straight. So you volunteered to go to Iraq during the war, right?
I fought like hell to get over there.
Wow,
it took me a year and a half.
Really? That is crazy. And so, but you went over as a civilian contractor, of which there were many over there, Coco being one of them. Right. Okay. All right. Good.
Correct.
Continue with your story, please.
I went to a great friend of mine who I got his first job in coffee. And the godfather for one of his daughters, he came here. We've been friends for 42 years. We used to play ice hockey together. And he is the CEO of Rothfuss Corporation, who is the largest green coffee importer in the United States and part of the Neumann Coffee Group, who are the largest green coffee traders in the world. They turn over $2.6 billion a year.
Big coffee.
And I said, Dan, coffee is the second largest cash traded commodity in the world.
Yeah, I bet everyone drinks coffee. I got to tell you this. I haven't drank coffee, if that's the right verb, in 20 years. Until about 2 weeks ago, because coffee, if I drink coffee hot, it has a very bad effect on me. But if I drink iced coffee, I can drink it all day long. And that's strange. So it isn't the caffeine. It's as someone once said, it's the vehicle that's getting it into your body,
Yeah, iced coffee is a different process. So
yeah, it's different.
It's not just brewing it up. It goes through a process. But so, I said, okay, let's. I went to Dan and he said, Matt, they have offices in 36 origin countries, and they're the biggest in the world. So we get the coffee directly from origin, from his buying offices. We get to piggyback on his logistics train, which really helps us out in terms of monies. I went to the Semper Fi Fund and presented this because I had a friend of mine Karen Gunther is the founder of the Semper Fi Fund. It was founded in 2003 by 3 women out in Camp Pendleton.
And what is that exactly?
Karen was a nurse at the hospital there.
What is it
and
exactly?
She saw these kids coming home banged up, and they didn't even have enough money to bring family in, girlfriends and mothers and whatever.
Okay.
And so she went to General Mattis, who was the commanding general of 1st Marine Division.
Yes.
And she asked if she could start this up. And we fast forward, he gave his blessing. We fast forward to today, they've raised over $240 million.
Nice.
And they give 94% back.
Wow, that's cool.
So I went to her and I said, I have this idea that I'd like to give 50% back to you. And we were the first commercial entity that they allowed to have use the logos.
Oh, wow.
And I tell people, because I think it's important, I'm retired now. I work more now than I did, and I haven't taken a penny. But it's not about, I'm not keeping my 50%. The good Lord's been kind to me. I'm not rich by any stretch of the imagination, but I'll put my 50% back in. And I think this has the potential for a long-term revenue stream that's not contingent upon donations for the fund. So I've gone, and since I have no family, I have opened a couple years back a trust fund so that when they plant me, 50% of the profits from this will go in perpetuity, the Semper Fi fund.
Nice. Okay.
So, as I say, donations ebb and flow. People see headlines when our kids are coming home banged up or coming through Dover, Delaware in boxes, and then they'll donate. But today there's still kids that are coming home banged up. And then there's these young men and women who need a lifetime of support based on their service and sacrifice. Right. So this has a real potential to help them out.
We say it a lot.
We were approved by MCS.
I was just going to say, we say it a lot on the show. We talk about the veterans a lot on the show. And the veterans, I'm sorry, they're not treated as well as they should be. So how can people now, is there some way that people can buy the coffee and help out?
Sure. You can buy us online at militaryjavagroup.com or jarheadjava.com. It'll bring you to the same place. And we're also on Amazon.
Okay.
And the Undersecretary of the Veterans Administration, Ms. Pamela Powers, I reached out to, and she was great because they try to help companies that help veterans.
Really?
And so we were given, and we're going to start a trial run in the VA canteens. Okay. We received our first order, and we're going to be putting out on our social media the 9 locations that the trial run will be in.
Yes.
And we're going to ask everybody, please, to if we do well there, they're going to put us in all 175 stores.
Nice.
It's an enormous opportunity for us.
Now, do you?
And so we're asking if you go to LinkedIn, Military Java, Matt Phillips on LinkedIn will bring you to Facebook, Military Java Group or Matt Phillips, and Twitter. So we're going to be putting all that out this week. We're in the process of getting all our ads out and all. But this is an enormous possibility for us.
Cool. That's cool.
DECA is another one because 93% of groceries are bought at the commissaries.
Right.
And we have a connection there who's approved us for sale. But right now, again, they're not taking new brands in, any kind of new brand for whatever.
It's never an easy road. So listen, what is it about your coffee? Is it extra caffeine or something?
No, it's when I started this, I said to Dan, my buddy who's supplying the coffee, I said, after 35 years in the business and cupping coffee and being on all the panels and so forth, I know coffee.
Yes.
I said, we're going to make nothing but great quality coffee because people will try it for the give back.
Yes, right.
But if you're a coffee drinker it's crappy coffee,
you're not going to come back.
You're not going to buy it again.
It's like Dunkin' Donuts.
Check to the Semper Fi fund.
What do you think of Dunkin' Donuts coffee?
So our Jarhead Java.
What do you think of Dunkin' Donuts coffee?
Dunkin' Donuts has a good coffee.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
We have two different. We have Jarhead Java, which is 100% Colombian Arabica, and it's the same 100% Arabica Colombian in a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts. Only our roast is different, so you have a different flavor profile. It's not bitter.
I think Dunkin' Donuts coffee is very bitter. I think Dunkin' Donuts coffee got bitter. It wasn't always bitter, right, JJ? Right? You with me on this?
Mac, it's different. It's different around here. I've been in North Carolina, and it's like being in a different coffee shop altogether.
Dunkin' Donuts is different down there. It's different down.
Well,
interesting.
And as a user of Military Java Group products, I'm here to tell you this is the real deal when it comes to coffee and the way Matt has set this up.
Cool.
And if you're not in a good mood, knowing that when you're having a cup of coffee that you're helping active duty military and veterans, it makes it pretty sweet.
What's the
you don't
website
need to add any sugar. It's good stuff. You guys are all going to get it for Christmas this year.
Yes.
As part of your Christmas drop-offs this year. So
our Christmas stockings.
And I got to tell you, the thing about Matt is this is a life of service for someone who really believes and his reputation. It's a shame that we didn't know each other when we were both together at Cook at the same time back in the day. But we've become good friends over the years, and this only scratches the surface of what he does. It's a tremendous effort that he puts forward.
All right, Matt, just 2 questions. We got like about 2 minutes left. Okay, now, number one, give us the name, give us your website again so people can get in touch and buy the coffee. What is it again?
It's militaryjava.com or you can go to jarheadjava.com. It'll bring you to the same place.
Okay. How many cups of coffee do you have a day? We got 30 seconds left. How many cups of coffee do you have?
I have about 2.
2?
I have about 2. And then on the weekend, maybe I'll have a couple at night, but I usually put a little booze in it.
Put a little booze in it. There you go. This is a good way to end it. Matt Phillips, thank you very much for joining us. It's Java Head Coffee, right? Say it again, please, your website.
Military Java Group Coffee.
Military Java.
Jarhead Java. MilitaryJavaGroup.com will get you to our website where you can purchase.
Okay.
Amazon, the same name. And then also, it's a little easier, jarheadjava.com will bring you to the same website, our site.
We should tell people Jarheads are Marines.
Jarheadjava.com.
They call Marines Jarheads, okay, if anyone was wondering, okay? So
it's a cool logo on the box, too.
Yeah, that's cool.
We have K-Cups, and we have roast and ground, so...
All right, that's a nice thing you're doing. Let's give them a hand. Let's give them a round of applause, please, people. Please. We'll sweeten that up. Thank you, Matt. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
It's about the troops. It's not about me.
Yeah, right.
Bless them.
Good for you. Good for you. And good for them. And so you're listening to Mack Maloney's Military Exile Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned.
Where is the Sea of Moons? Is it on the moon? Or in a haunted part of the Pacific Ocean? Or is it just in our heads?
What if you dreamed of meeting a beautiful Irish girl, but she turned out to be a cop? What if you dreamed that you were on TV 24/7, but only the government knew the channel? And what if you dreamed you were shipwrecked on a deserted island and rescued by 5 lovely castaways, only to have some real pirates ruin the party? Then you should wake up and read The Sea of Moons, the latest installment in Mack Maloney's best-selling series, codename Starman. Follow the adventures of U.S. Navy Special Agent Chris Starr as he travels the globe using his special ESP powers to solve top-secret mysteries. First in Ireland, then in Tahiti, and finally to Hollywood, where Chris and his girlfriend Angel discover the only spooks inside an old haunted house belong to the CIA. That's Codename Starman, The Sea of Moons by Mack Maloney. On sale on Amazon and in bookstores everywhere.
Back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military Exile Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Macaroni. Wow, what a show we have for you tonight. Girls, let me just introduce him quickly. He's the foundation of the show tonight. That's the kind of show it is. JJ, how are you doing?
Here I am pouring some concrete in the foundation of the show.
Is it mafia concrete?
Making it hard for the audience.
Oh, that's what she said.
Hello, girls. Welcome aboard.
What an interesting choice of words to run together there.
That's what
Lane isn't here now.
That's what's cool about the English language.
And is it really?
It's the juxtaposition of certain words can make the whole theme come true.
There you go. Okay. Please me.
Something like that.
Listen to the words of Please Me, the great Beatles song. And you know what he's talking about.
Correct.
Anyway. Up there in his compound, and the Great White North of Maine, looking out at the rest of us. We know Coco on the streets. We know him as Commander Cobra, Coco.
It's always a privilege to be on the wing, and I'd just like to add that Teddy has calmed down after the Lois Lane episode.
The thing earlier on the show. Teddy is the gelding.
That's code. That's code.
Yes, okay. Teddy is a gelding, and after my speech
he is the gilding.
After my speech off air, we should probably explain what a gelding is. A gelding is a horse that doesn't have...
Just because he's a gelding doesn't mean it doesn't have any feelings.
Well,
he has feelings. He's a very sensitive. Very sensitive.
Yeah, I'm sure he's very sensitive now, but he had his scrotum removed. Is that the right word? Is that the right medical term? Scrotum?
Yes. He is sans testicles.
Sans testicles.
Right.
So you can see why he'd be moody, right? But... I'm glad that Lois perks him up. Okay, right? Is that what we're saying?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
Just the sound of her voice.
That's magic. Speaking about magic, up there in the bowl of flakes, where it's always magical, Switchblade Steve Ward, Battle Creek, Michigan. Switchy.
Great to be here tonight.
Okay.
Hello, Switch.
Hey, Warren.
The background of his book.
Is that his book in the background?
Well, it's a book that the graphic artist Mark Randall did the images. It chronicles all the stuff that happened in Point Pleasant. John Keel, the Mothman, Mary Hyre.
What's the name?
And I wrote some of the text. He wrote most of the text and did all the illustrations.
What's the name of the book?
I'm impressed with that, Switchy. That's a super cover.
And since I'm doing that, you just can't see it right now. But you know who Seth Breedlove is? Does the Small Town Monsters DVDs?
Yes.
He did the Mothman of Point Pleasant. Well, let me just do this here.
Switch. What's the name of the book? Okay. What's the name of the
sequel called The Mothman Legacy.
Yes.
And it's really well done, but as you proceed through it, you will see a talking head that looks a lot like me, sounds like me.
Your evil brother.
But there's great lighting, really good lighting.
Great lighting.
And I'm in there a few times throughout the DVD, along with other people, including, I can't think of his name right now, the gentleman that wrote the screenplay for the Mothman film.
One Parade.
It'll come to me.
Okay. Listen, you had a book cover up in your background there a second ago that you're involved with. What's the name of that book?
Oh, that's High Strangeness.
Okay.
Mark Randall and Steve Ward.
Yep. Okay. And Steve.
And I need to roll right over your Mac and say that no one, and I mean no one, has had the best series of covers than the Wingmen series.
Wow.
The Super Hawks, all of them. Starting with Warheaven, the greatest artwork ever. So good, in fact, that when other people copied it, I bought the book.
That's true.
Thinking I was getting a Wingman book, only to find out it was some sub-rate amateur who had graphic your work.
It's true. And wow.
Really?
I guess my speech on crass commercialism didn't really stick. Well, I appreciate that, Cobra.
I believe it was Sky Arrow. And for those who are out there, don't buy Sky Arrow if you think it's a Mack Maloney production, because it's not.
A lot of behind-the-scenes stuff in that. Can
now Commander's going to be subject to a lawsuit. I can see that.
That voice you hear is Agent X from his cellar, it looks like. Exy, how you doing?
Never better, and thanks for having me, and I'm great. Really happy to be with the guys and the gals.
Okay.
So, again, thanks.
Do you want to talk about your friend's book, your friend's bestseller book?
Yeah, my friend's bestseller book is, well, I don't know if it's bestseller, but it's getting there. It's really taking off. And
the name, the title?
It's called Wolf of Quantoff, and there's reviews and interviews involved with this book.
Yes.
All over Europe and the United States, and I'm pretty happy about it.
There you go. The Volkswagen just came
for my friend.
Yeah, okay. It's a book about...
the book. That's why they're tooting, Mac.
Right. It's a book about how the Irish threw the Vikings out of Ireland way, way long time ago. It's getting a lot of good reviews, and your friend tells me that he's getting love letters from Irish beauty queens. Is that true? X, can you confirm or deny that?
Irish and American.
Wow.
Women. Yeah.
Okay. These authors, they get laid. You wouldn't believe.
I'm telling him, I keep telling him, don't let it go to your head. And he says, I've been dealing with this my whole life.
That ship sailed, yeah. That ship sailed when he was in kindergarten, believe me. Let me introduce our security chief, okay, before he gets upset. From beautiful Methuen, Massachusetts, it's Willie Clubb. Willie, how you doing?
Hi, Mac. It's great to be here, and another big night. Since everyone else is pushing their books tonight, I just like to get a quick plug in if I could.
You bet.
I'm about halfway through my first novel, Cybersecurity and Me, and it'll be self-published, but I'm hoping to get it out for the Christmas and holidays, but see what we can do. There's a lot of action in it, and so I really appreciate just having
How much RAM do you have in there, Harry?
What's that again, Cobra?
How much RAM?
Plenty.
There you go. That answers everything. So listen, it's cybersecurity and you, and there's plenty of action. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's.
What happened when he got cut off?
There's a lot of suspense to this. There's a lot of different things.
Are there car chases?
Through my experiences. So I'm just wanted to let people know that I mentioned it a long time ago,
Yes.
but I've been behind with a lot of other things, so I'm picking it up again and
good for you.
Really trying to get it out there. I know there's a lot of interest ever since I mentioned it.
It sounds like Tron in a book form.
Okay.
Who does the illustrations?
It'd be hard to pull out.
Come again?
Who does the illustrations?
Well, I've been doing a lot of them, and
he's a one-man show.
But see, I don't want to get too much out.
Any word balloons?
There's all security related, and there's a lot to it.
Is Whitey Bulger in it?
No. Why do you have to bring it?
No.
And why would he be? All right, listen.
Well, we learned things about Mack Maloney that we don't know.
No.
Well, there's unnamed.
We're going to have to talk about this off air, friend.
But you'll see when it gets out, and you folks are all, of course, going to get a complimentary signed copy.
Signed. There we go.
Yeah, show Mack how to do that, would you?
Why? What's the matter? That's what I don't understand that.
You're slamming Mack?
Yeah.
No, Wingman 20. I had to buy my own copy. I wasn't part of the VIP list.
Okay.
And it was excellent, I might add.
I can't talk about this on the air. I'm sorry.
You can have my coffee if you like.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
that's
going to leave a mark.
Yeah. Let me pull those. A2 Club. A2.
E2 Brutai. E2.
Let's get serious. Okay. So anyway, what we're going to talk about tonight. Later on, we're going to talk about these two very kind of odd, unusual occurrences that happened back in the 20th century, early 20th century. One of them is called the Angels of Mons, which we've talked about before, and also the Fatima sighting. The Fatima sighting has all these very much religious overtones to it, but if you look at it one way, the things that people saw, it could be like a mass UFO sighting. Clubb and I are going to be talking about that. But now what we're going to be talking about, and it's funny how this...
It also may interrupt, Mac. Also, if we have time, there's an incident that occurred in Knock, Ireland in the late 1800s.
When we did, it's like a religious UFO night or something. But this thing that we're going to talk about in this segment is, it's kind of funny how this kind of generated. I get an email from a friend of mine who used to work for the Army in Vietnam, but he was attached to the Phoenix program. We can't, we don't want to go, too in-depth in that, but that's the people he worked for. And he's very much into, what's going on these days. And he sent me this essay, and I sent it to X, because X is U.S. Army. And it's this kind of simple thing. And I see this happening all over the place. And certainly it happens to teachers. And what happens is this. New stuff comes out. We're talking about what a soldier carries into battle. What does he need to carry into battle? And it goes to this essay, and X is going to talk about it. It goes to what they used to carry in World War I up to what they carry now. And it's kind of like no one was really thinking, gee, if we add one more thing on, it's going to be a little heavier. If we add this on, it's going to be a little heavier. Finally, these guys are going to battle like 100-pound packs. And a lot of it is unnecessary. And so what is happening, too, and what we can talk about is that now they've created these robotic mules. And I watched a lot of YouTube about them today, and they are freaky things. I know that the program is a little bit in danger, but it would seem to be the solution to why things keep adding on to what a soldier carries into battle. So, X, I'm going to kind of turn it over to you, because you were in the Army, 30 years or so?
22.
Okay, 22.
And
seems like
when I got it for you, I was expecting to be skeptical. But as I mentioned when I replied, that I thought it was an outstanding essay.
Written anonymously.
And I thought it was extremely... You there?
Yep. It was written anonymously, too, as it turns out.
I thought whoever did it did a good job, and they obviously have experience, what I would call at the tactical level.
Yep.
Not at the strategic or operational level.
They're not at a desk.
And... Right, correct. But also great technical, not just tactical expertise.
So what we're talking about is that you would seem to me, too, because never served, but I've read a lot about the military. When you go into battle, you need your gun and you need your ammo. What else do you need? Why do they send these guys? Like, for instance, and this is what we're going to talk about, what soldiers carry. Why would they send the first guys on the first wave of D-Day with anything but a gun and ammo? Why does he need his...
You got to supply him. You can't fight without proper sustenance.
But if he makes it, can't you kind of adapt to it instead of him running around with 50 pounds on his back?
Well, how do you get it there, Mac?
Yeah, well, I know. Yeah, I know it's tough. I know it's tough to do. But anyway.
No, I mean, it's not tough. I mean, you talk about paratroopers that were dropped in. They were dropped in with enough that they could fight 24 to 48 hours.
Right,
and that included enough water and enough food and what they could sustain off the land.
Right, yeah, right. Oh, the paratroopers, they're a whole different breed. So listen, so let's just talk about really quick, okay? So in World War I, basically, you had the gun, you had the ammo. But then they add things on as the shape of the wars change, right?
Correct. And that's why I want to set the terms of reference for what this essay is talking about.
Go ahead.
He's talking about the decade from 2003 to 2013, which and after that particular decade. So he's talking about the campaigns in Iraq, Afghanistan, and what he calls smaller combat zones. There's three. There traditionally has been three types: heavy intensity combat. That's force on force. World War III. Mid intensity combat. That one could say Vietnam was mid intensity combat, where you had battalion on battalion, at least in some cases. And then what we've had since Desert Storm 2, I'll call it, is low-intensity combat or counterinsurgency, and that is what the bulk of his essay is about. And he says the U.S. has faced these, what happened and how they do. In fact, the Army has an organization called the Center for Army Lessons Learned, and I've been there. It's a big place with a lot of, very interestingly, a lot of historians as well as military people there. And they look at what happened and how they can do it better. So he goes back to World War I and so forth, but he's talking about what has happened in this low-intensity counterinsurgency combat. Basically, after Desert Storm 2, and I'll call it that for lack of a better term, and then when the uprising started in Iraq, and then Afghanistan, which was quite different from Vietnam. And he mentions that. Vietnam, we were dealing with, certainly with the not Vietnamese, we were dealing with a small but very capable conventional army who had already been blooded with the French. And the Viet Cong were massively supported by them. So that was a little bit different situation. So he's talking about that. And you mentioned the robotic mules. Well, that's kind of, they might come and so forth. I think looking at what we're looking at now, that's already kind of archaic, because I think unmanned aerial vehicles are going to replace robotic mules where you're on the ground. But like Cobra was trying to say, if you have a mid-intensity or a high-intensity combat, you have a full logistic train. But what the U.S. has done in Iraq and Afghanistan is we don't have a full logistic train. We have, for lack of a better word, we have expeditionary forces. And luckily, there's fewer and fewer of them there. So they are operating from a resource-constrained environment to begin with. It's not like D-Day when we landed divisions and divisions with multiple logistic capabilities right behind them. These are, at least since this point, we've got a smaller logistical train. So that, I think, and I'll make it quick, is why he says, and believe me, I can relate to this. Mm-hmm. Carrying all of that stuff is just, it's called humping.
Yeah,
and humping. You want to do anything you can. And you may have heard the stories in Vietnam,
yes,
and elsewhere. You get rid of everything that you don't need. That includes your underwear,
yes,
underpants, t-shirt, anything you think you don't need. And then, as you all heard the stories, World War I, World War II, people didn't want to carry their protective masks. They didn't want to carry a lot of the things, their blankets and so forth. That goes back to the Civil War.
Yep.
So multiply that in these small wars, to use his terms, small wars, low-intensity combat, and you load these people up because you're not going to have the logistical train right behind them like you would
back then
in a mid-intensity or high-intensity.
Let me just ask this, and this is what's kind of funny because, like I say, that I can equate this oddly enough to teachers because you keep in many professions, and you keep adding on to the person's workload. Let's call it, right? But no one is sitting there saying what's the negative effect of this, and I'm sure a lot of people have done it. But this guy in this essay, which is anonymous, by the way, which my friend from the Phoenix program days tells me that it's probably high up. It's some kind of strategic blog. I'm sure Coco's on it, where people post this really kind of detailed stuff anonymously because they don't want to be, out in public. But he really gets into that's what I really liked about this essay. He really gets into it's like, hey, you have to kind of think about, what are you loading on these guys? You know what I mean? What are you expecting them to go into battle with? And is it all necessary? I don't know if you talked about like the medical kit. He says the way things are now is, the medics used to carry, I guess what doctors would carry, but now these individual soldiers themselves carry like what medics used to carry. And it's like, wow, okay, it sounds good, might save more lives, but it's like another, 10 pounds for this guy to carry around in. So I mean, am I
already? Sorry.
Go ahead, X. Am I right?
Go ahead. No, yeah, what I was going to say, the medics are much more capable today, or as like a former president called them in the Marines, the corpse man. They're much more capable today.
Corpsman.
And than they were back in, even in Vietnam.
Yes.
So that's part of it. But what you're describing, it's not, you're describing it in an advance in technology. So it's a technological advance. Medicine is part of that. Logistics, transportation.
Yes, right.
And so forth is part of that. And as everyone knows, and it sounds like a cliche, we're all in a technology renaissance or a technology explosion now.
Yes.
So that's why this article I thought was so good.
Yes.
Because things are going to get better than what he's describing.
Right.
And I don't necessarily agree with this. The Army, Natick Labs, and other places are looking at exoskeletons that I'm not sure that's really going to work.
We should talk about them.
Worse. Yeah, but exoskeletons and also assisted use of one's personal weapons.
Okay. So
where your efficiency and your ability to kill the enemy with one shot is much better.
Right. Yes.
But you have to balance.
It's also they're very, very. It's kind of an odd thing, but I guess that you can give them to their credit is that they're they're very interested in the individual soldiers' lives.
Correct.
I mean, and before it was like, hey, listen, if 1,000 people out of 10,000 get killed, well, we'll accept that. But they're very, very focused in on the individual soldier's life, and I think there's a political aspect to that too. And also at smart weapons where you don't have like the collateral damage, as they call it, which is civilian casualties.
UAVs are a big part of that. When I say UAVs, I don't mean controlled by somewhere back in the rear. I mean UAVs controlled by the troops themselves.
Yes, okay.
That give them a view of the battle space that heretofore would have been lethal to them. Now they'll get that.
Right.
Of course, there are always counter capabilities from the adversarial side. So you have to keep working to ensure that you have superiority in each one of these domains, is what the current word is, domains of the battle space.
Here's the thing, though. So what we're having is this thing where, and it's called Boston Dynamics, I think. They're close to Boston, close to where we are. And They make these robots, and they make this one robot.
Boston Robotics.
Yeah.
Boston Robotics, I think.
And it has like a funny name, like Legs, Squad Assistant or something. And what it is, it's a mule. It's a robotic mule. And it looks weird. It walks weird. But it can carry up to 400 pounds of stuff. And a squad is, how many people in the squad? 12? 12 people in the squad?
Typically 12. It's a good starting point. A fire team is 5 or 6.
So it can carry 400 pounds for 12 guys, right? And the amazing thing about it, and it follows the leader. I mean, one guy's designated the leader, and it follows the leader. It's like, a goose or something impressing on someone. But anyway, the strange thing about some of the videos that I watched was, when there's trouble and troops are running, this thing can run too. And it's very odd to see it kind of hurrying along with everybody. But I heard that, anyone who's listening, just go to YouTube and, Google, just write in robotic mules, and you'll see it. These things that the U.S. military services on the ground want to, have go in with our troops. It's very odd. It's very sci-fi. But, Coco, you probably know more about this than me. They either paused the program because the thing was too loud, right, to sneak through the jungles. Have you heard this?
Yeah, so the problem that you have with a lot of breakthrough technology that you ignore when you're going through it is it doesn't practically fit the tactical situation.
Right.
But I would say in this particular spot, the robotic mules are, with some money thrown at it for muffling. I think there's some other issues that have probably come up, but that hits every weapon system we've ever brought forward. How do you fuel this thing? You've added now this to the logistics. How do you maintain it if it doesn't break?
Right.
I think it's phenomenal gear. One of the programs I worked on that reminded me a lot of the pre-show homework that you set up, Mac, for the show tonight, and it was great this week, was a system where you're going to use a UAV that would fly in and take out and medevac out troops that were hit in a automated system. And when I was on it, my practical point was you have to make something that looks like a cell phone that you throw on the ground, you turn on, and this thing can fly to it.
Yeah.
Because you can't have elaborate landing zones.
Yes.
This thing has to be able to figure out all the stuff. So there's a ton of things that have to happen. Radar has to be on it. It has to be able to map. And then it has to be able to see if there's an obstacle in there.
Too much.
But someone said to me, well, why would you put a trooper on board a non-piloted vehicle? Well, if it's between life or death and you're in a sandstorm or a snowstorm, and this is your best shot,
you go.
And you put in beans and bullets, as we like to used to say, as the way of putting it, so that when it comes in, it drops off replenishment for those that are there. Maybe even
there you go. The NSA.
A replacement trooper to take for the ride in to replace the guy going out.
Right.
It's going to use weather. It's going to use night, and that's where all these things are about. Is it stealthy? Is it quiet?
Yes.
How well does it work?
Right.
But everything you add has its own logistic chain that adds to it. You're adding to the tail for every little bit of tooth that you add. So for every inch of tooth, you better figure about a foot and a half of tail.
Well, it carries its own. It has to carry its own fuel.
It has to carry its own fuel, but you have the people that can maintain it.
Do it right.
They know how to pull out the panels.
Yeah.
And the greatest line I ever heard was from the fire chief of London. This guy was absolutely. I followed him at a public speaking event, and it was the worst guy and the best guy to fall behind.
Yes.
This guy got up and goes, "Look, here's what I need from technology. You need to make it as cheap as a ball bearing because if my guys can't break it, they're going to lose it.
Yeah.
And I need to have enough on the shelf that I can give them another one."
Yeah. Right.
And that's exactly what we're up against on this.
Well,
I think Mechanical Mule has a lot of interesting capabilities that gets added to it. But I think what's really cool about it is you can send it autonomously into to replenish. And then like a lot of the UAV technology we were talking about, after it's done doing what it's supposed to, let it go hit the enemy. Let it go run over there with explosives to the enemy.
Yeah.
Say hello.
Boom. Yeah.
Can I say as a former infantryman, it's obsolete to me by today's standards, but boy, what a dream that would have been to have that out there.
Yes.
Being part of a weapons platoon and carrying a base plate for a mortar on our backs and the barrels. That would have been wonderful out there to carry that heavy equipment.
Yeah.
But, Mac, I looked at that today, too, and a couple of the downsides. Obviously, as you mentioned, it's not very stealth. It's very noisy.
Yep.
It's very expensive.
Yes.
In the new warfare, everything I read, the infantry is going to be altogether different. You're not going to have, the infantry out there like we did in Vietnam and Korea and all that. It's going to be a whole different battlefield. Right. But I think that would have been great in Vietnam, having that mule out there and throwing all that stuff in it. But the other thing is, if I recall, Mac, is the battery. I mean, it's fueled by batteries, and there's still so many issues with batteries, even in the automobiles.
Right.
What do you do if you're out in the battlefield and the battery goes dead?
They also had
there must be some Tesla stations out there someplace.
Yeah, they also had like what's the
where's the command and control for these?
It's the guy carrying it. A guy carries a little gizmo with him. And
in the case of this mule 1-1, it identifies with a trooper that's in the unit, in that squad, and it follows him, and it can also follow like head commands, so it'll know to walk a point in front of them or walk behind them.
Yes.
Now, an interesting piece of technology that's flying right now. It's very simple, follows the same kind of criteria. When airborne troops go out, they normally cannot carry all the weaponry, all the batteries, and all the ammunition they need. They have Connex boxes or these large cases that parachute out with them, and they have trackers on them that will control the chutes to stay with the group as they halo down through.
Yeah, cool. Yeah,
and I can tell you from personal experience that on exercises, when things haven't gone well, like they jump too soon in these boxes, everyone is elbows, fists, and you know what, to find these things because they're so important and so valuable that they don't like to lose them because of what they're able to do. But you can put an extra 500 to 600 pounds down with them so that the troopers make a safer parachute landing and carrying less weight so they're not going to get injured on the landing when they do the parachute landing, which is critical.
Right.
And this is one of the things that X had written about. People complain about, well, why are you spending time and money to put air conditioning into people on that? If you can get someone 8 hours of rest, and they're actually rested in 8 hours to go out and do that. If you can put Natick Labs that Agent X was talking about, pioneering MREs, not many people enjoy eating them, but the amount of protein and nutrition is packed in a meal that can sit for 2 to 8 years on the shelf and still be good.
It's like 7-Eleven. Yes. No, I've
look
had
at all the other parts and pieces.
We should do an MRE show.
We didn't coordinate, but
we should. We should all eat an MRE.
I think that
just the result.
I have them. I'll send them all to all of us. So we can have an MRE night. I have them downstairs. They're part of the compound kit. So
part of the civil defense.
Yeah, the civil defense is the right way to do it.
The prepper situation.
He's never going to. He won't open the door for us. We'll be banging on that door.
Oh, that is such a lie.
It's Mack.
You guys are always standing in.
I've eaten them. Plenty.
Go away. We don't want any.
I've eaten them definitely plenty.
I have too. Yeah, I've had the ham and eggs. Yeah, and I've had the American
spaghetti meatballs aren't bad.
Spaghetti
There's
meatball.
some stuff that you try to avoid, but I remember all in all it was
vegetable lasagna is probably one of the best.
It's not as bad. It's edible. You know what I mean? It's not torture.
It packs though incredible amount of nutrition.
Yeah, think about it. Yeah.
I mean, when you have that, you're ready to go.
It's called MREs, meals ready to eat, is what the K rations are now to the military. And they also have this high protein biscuit. It's just a biscuit, and that's tough to eat, man. That's like eating a piece of cardboard or something. But that's the thing that Coco said is packed.
It's like a teething biscuit you give to a baby.
Right. And you eat that, and you're good for 2 days. It's weird.
Then you have the sterno. You have the little sterno kit to light it up and have it warm.
They have little Tootsie Rolls in there and stuff. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's funny. And little chili sauce and stuff. They put the sauce in with everything. So no matter how bad it tastes, you can just put the chili sauce on. And the hot sauce.
One comment about the mules.
X.
In the 70s, and I saw them, we had a device called the Army Mule. And that was back to the 70s. It was called the Army Mule. That was the name of it, right?
Go ahead, yes.
It was basically a golf cart.
Yeah, a little cart. Little truck. Yeah.
Yeah, specifically for mortars.
Yes, right, cool.
But it could be used for anything else. But it never really, even in Vietnam, because of the terrain and because it was a golf cart, it never really
Listen, Coco
took off. So I think
MRE Tabasco sauce.
Tabasco sauce.
Okay.
Drink that. I'll give you $10
My
if you
very
drink.
first kit in Desert Storm. I kept the very first one that came out in Desert Storm. It's been with me all these years.
Go get the little
older
one.
than my son.
I'd give you $10 if you drank one of those on the air. $10.
That's the amazing thing, the preservative that was in it. I mean, come on.
What preservative? This purpose. So anyway,
Plus the vacuum sealing that they did. And, of course, Natick Labs, once again, tip of the hat to them
Natick
for
Labs.
coming up with a way to heat it. There's a chemical heater now that you can have that you can put it right inside the bag the whole thing comes with, and it's a hot meal.
Yep.
And why do they do that? Well, it's partly a psychological thing, but it's also understood that if you can get a warmer meal in it, your body's going to absorb it quicker and digest it quicker and do what you have to do.
Yeah,
and it's silent. There's no noise.
Yeah. They're cool. I mean, someone gave me a box.
Suitable for flying, though. A lot of gaseous activity.
Gas,
I hear to tell you that you don't want to be eating those babies and then getting up to the higher altitudes.
Thanks.
Wait a minute.
Thanks for offering.
The can opener thing. Didn't that make noise?
P38.
Yes, P38.
Is that what it was called?
Yep.
You had one hung from your keychain or whatever. You had one.
Or your dog tags. But that went away with K-Rats. When C-Rats and K-Rats, that went away.
Listen.
Yes.
You know, I feel like...
I'm listening to this Navy and Air Force and Coast Guard guys talking about MREs.
What did you eat,
Real
Derek?
short, funny story about MREs. True story.
Oh, go ahead.
True story. Let's hear it.
Let's go.
Old Watosh here.
Let's go.
During the Yugoslavian Civil War.
Yes.
When the Bosnians, they controlled the city of Mostar at the time.
Yes.
And NATO was dropping MREs to them because they were surrounded, ironically, by the Croats, the Bosnian Croats.
Okay.
At the time.
Yes.
And I met a so-called Bosnian general. He was probably a lieutenant colonel. Who knows what it was? And he said, "Why are you people trying to poison us?"
Oh, wow. That's inappropriate. Natick Labs wouldn't want to hear that.
A true story. It had nothing to do with Natick Labs.
No, but they're poisoned with the MREs. What are you talking about?
No, he said they were terrible. He said this is an insult to my people.
What, they're down in friggin' Serbia and they're going to complain about the food? Listen, those MREs aren't
They're in Bosnia, they're surrounded.
Oh, come on. What are they
nothing
eating?
to eat,
They're
but he
eating
still
friggin'
complained about it.
Yeah, good. They're eating weeds.
I guess he had a little French in him.
Yeah. Wait.
Oh, man.
Let me tell you, if you got these MREs...
He didn't eat the regular stuff.
Yeah, that's true. You're in that club. Exactly right. The MREs are
Sweetwater Donuts would have taken care of that issue.
Let me
we could have dropped pallets of Sweetwater Donuts. That would have taken care of that.
With music. Hey,
I told him the Americans weren't doing it. It must be the British.
Oh, jeez. Blame it on them. Hey, listen, and now that Coco has brought up Sweetwater Donuts, we have to have a little confab with Switch, the celebrity. Sweetwater Donuts, I can announce now, has agreed. Sometime in November, mid-November, don't switch. Take your hand away from your face.
Right around Thanksgiving.
He doesn't like celebrity. Right before Thanksgiving, Switch is going to be an honorary employee at the Sweetwater's Donut Mill in Battle Creek, Michigan. He's going to do a day behind the counter. He's going to look like Coco. Okay?
So a day, not like 15 minutes? Only 15 minutes.
A day. I thought it was a shift.
Whatever you want to watch. Shift is 14 hours there. You want to go there 14? No, listen, I don't know. I'm just kidding. Listen, but the media is going to be there, Switchy. There's going to be radio, TV, papers, the works. Are you going to be able to handle that? Cutting in on there he goes. Cutting in on Nexus segment. There he goes. Okay. So, actually, I just got to go back to this essay really quick, and I wish I could tell people to look it up, but we can't because of this anonymous source or whatever. But I think it's very interesting that what happens is you reach a point, and like I said, when they were describing what the guys in Vietnam used to carry into, and it depends on what kind of battle you were going into and stuff like that. 100 pounds. I mean, you want to be in shape, but who's going to lug around 100 pounds? Dodging bullets and stuff like that. I think that's crazy. That's why I don't
know how that's possible.
It is impossible. But no one was like at home adding this stuff up, and I think that's like in our society today. Everyone adds stuff on to professionals, but if you add it all up, it takes up more than a 40-hour week, and time management is what it's called. But But what's interesting is it's led to a new technology, which is these robotic mules. And at some point, they'll get the noise down. I'm sure it'll be fine, And all of a sudden, you'll have these things. And you see these YouTubes. And the thing that, like I said before, that got me was to see the thing running. The troops are running, and this thing is running, and it's keeping right up with them. And I said, wow, if that thing can run like that, get out of danger and stuff. And also, you can tell it to go to a point, Coco. You can tell it to go to a point 40 miles away, and that thing will go to that point. It's coming in the future. They got to make it quieter.
Mac, I hate to be a downer, but if you look at one of those YouTubes, that was 2008.
Oh, no.
12 years ago, they were showing that thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I looked at two of the presentations. I mean, there was a more recent one, too, 2012, but just to let you know, they've been developing that for quite a while, and for some reason...
Well, I can't share with you, Clubb, the recent one, but they have them now where they work in packs.
Oh,
really?
Ooh,
yes, and they can go through buildings and they can help each other open the doors. So they've moved a couple evolutionary steps along the way with their technology.
How do they multiply?
Wait a minute.
The old-fashioned way, brother.
There you go. Oil and nuts. Hey, listen. Why don't we do this? Why don't we take a commercial break now? And
Steve, there's
that's what he's.
I like the Russian roulette scene. I love it.
We have to be a TV show because what the people are missing, they shouldn't miss. Why don't we take a commercial break now?
Christopher Walken.
Right. Yeah.
The ice is going to break.
The ice is going to break. No, I can't do it. We got to bring what's his name back.
The ice is going to break.
Let's take a commercial break now, and we'll be right back after this. You're listening to Mack Maloney's Military Exile Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network.
UFOs are found in Renaissance art, on ancient coins, and etched on cave walls. They're even reported in the Bible. But more surprising is when UFOs are seen the most, in times of war. Through centuries, thousands of UFO sightings have been made by high-ranking officials, military pilots, and ordinary soldiers. Often, these fantastic appearances occur at the height of great battles. From World War I to D-Day to Korea, Vietnam, and beyond, military investigators are baffled. Why do UFO sightings spike so drastically during wartime? Could it be mistaken aircraft, or is someone, or something, looking in on us? In UFOs in Wartime, What They Didn't Want You to Know, Mack Maloney chronicles centuries of these incredible sightings and tries to solve the puzzle of why so many UFOs are seen while humanity is at war. Read about the scare ships, the ghost planes, and the ghost rockets, alien giants in the jungles of Vietnam, UFOs controlling our ICBM bases, dogfights with flying saucers during the Gulf War, and more. 300 pages of unbelievable stories, along with many startling photographs. That's UFOs in Wartime, What They Didn't Want You to Know, by Mack Maloney. On sale at your local bookstore or on Amazon.com.
Maloney's Military Exile Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. Wow. What a show we've got ourselves involved in. But first, let me introduce the co-conspirators. Girls, I've got emails saying I'm giving him short shrift tonight, not giving him enough of what he needs. The very famous Juan is here.
Definitely don't short shrift me because I need it more than anybody.
Do you really?
And welcome, girls.
TMI.
To the show. And guys and families and all the ships at sea. Welcome to the show.
Good. Hey, listen.
Hope you're enjoying it so far.
We're a radio show. We're a podcast. But we are also on camera. That only we can see. You're in the noir. You're in the noir frame, right? That means very...
Maybe we can get on that platform, too.
Night, very moody. Is that intentional, or you just have a light bulb burned out?
Moody? Yeah, it could be...
Why are you guys wearing...
How's that?
Lights out.
Speaking of moody, they call him Coco on the street. We know him as Commander Cobra up there in Maine. Coco.
Don't ever short sheet Juan, but short drift him anytime you want.
Is that a Hello
Kitty says hello to everyone tonight.
That's sick, dude. Yeah, people who are into that are really...
That was my two daughters' favorite toys.
I know, but if you're an adult, it's a different story, you know?
Who said I'm an adult? Jesus, Mac, thanks for moving me up on the scale of things.
Well,
I'm still 12 years old, buddy. Aviator. Come
That's
on.
right.
X will tell you all about that.
Cobra, I'm glad you did that because so many times I've been wanting to drag out some of my old toys.
Oh, wow.
Or maybe some of my kids'
There's nothing old about Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty is my
It's like the 80s.
go-to.
How do we go down this road? How do we go down this road? I'm going to, for just for change of pace, a national correspondent up there in Battle Creek, Michigan. Switchblade, Steve Ward. Switchy.
Great to be here, and I'm doing beyond wonderful.
Okay. Just to get our heart rate back.
Are you doing
normal.
Gardening now or something? What are you doing back there?
That's
a photograph from near Killarney, Ireland, from 1973.
Wow. Okay. Please review. What you have for breakfast today?
Waffles, frozen waffles, unfrozen in a toaster.
Yes.
With bacon and hot black coffee.
Okay. 3 strips
Butter
of
and
bacon.
syrup.
Butter and syrup. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, the bacon. I love bacon, but your arteries love it too, right?
Well, I only had 3. I didn't have 4.
Okay. I didn't have 4. Okay.
Because 3 was all that was left in the package. So
there's a T-shirt. Awesome. Taking time out of his busy schedule of spying on everyone else, Agent X is joining us. X.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. I like this crew. And before you ask me to say it, I'll just say it's Misha Ursel X is Misha Fjordguer.
Wow. Speaking
That's
Cleon. I'm the Star Trek fans. When I look at him, why do I look at it? It's like a scene in a movie. It's like a scene in a movie when you're talking to the prisoner. Talking to the prisoner on a phone through a plexiglass window. Go ahead, translate there, Rex. What'd you just say to us?
Yeah, what the heck did you say?
It was
yeah.
It means I am Sir X and I am pure Gale.
Okay. Another show. Thank you.
You sure are.
You sure are. I was right. Listening in on
Wait, make the mark there, 1-1. Man, that was a shot below the hard deck.
It was?
The hard deck.
Got that one in.
I thought it was pretty sedate.
Like 32 minutes. Listening in on all this.
Disparaging?
No, I did not.
Listening in on all this.
I didn't hear it.
Listening in on all this.
Because I didn't say it.
Is our security chief, Willie Clubb, in beautiful Methuen, Massachusetts.
Hi, Mac. Hi, folks. I got to tell you, I'm learning a lot again tonight. Some nights, I don't know what it is, but there's so much information that comes out that my head just gets so full. And tonight's one of those nights. That
really
brought out a lot of new stuff.
That's why I feel this way. Okay, good. Yeah.
He's like Maccapedia.
Maccapedia.
It's impressive. It really is.
Okay. I guess that's good to hear. So listen, thanks for joining us. And did I introduce everybody?
Yeah. Okay. Cobb. Miss Cobb.
No, I didn't miss Cobb. Cobra. I introduced you, right?
We had the whole Hello Kitty thing.
The whole remember that? Yeah, his mind went blank.
You wanted to open up my chest?
Right. You know,
introduced Hello Kitty.
What's the other one? There's another one where there are people who are attached to it that are really strange. It's the
Bronies.
With the princess, with the unicorn, whatever.
Yeah, that's it. Bronies.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. There's a segment on, and I don't watch MSNBC, contrary to what you believe, but there's a segment where they did they had a convention in New York of all these people, and they arrested them, so many of them, on moral charges that the woman on MSNBC giving the news story laughed so much she couldn't finish it, and she ran off the set. Did you ever see that? Do you know what I'm talking about? The thing with the pony, right? The thing with the pony.
Was it
the rainbow pony?
Was it Princess Zara or something?
Yes, right. Yes.
Princess Zara.
Or something. I don't know. There's a gang of people
something like that.
Who are adults. I'm going to have to cut this out. There's a gang of people who are adults who are into this kind of kids thing. And it has to do with a
kids'
princess.
fantasy stories.
Yeah, riding a unicorn with rainbows or something.
Mm-hmm.
But They had this huge...
My Little Ponies.
Yeah, right.
Had unicorns involved.
Yeah, this huge...
Yep.
50,000 people attend this, adults, exchanging information on it. And the Morrow Squad, couldn't fill a bus full of these people. And when she was reporting the story, she ran off the set because it was that funny. Wow. Okay. So, from that...
I don't know, Willie. Was that enlightening?
Were you educated?
Was it all adults or were there children there too?
They were all adults.
My IQ just went down 10 points.
Okay. Shouldn't have been a problem then.
Were you educated there, Clubb?
Educated there?
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out what the hell you were talking about.
There you go. I'll take that as a yes.
If it was like a trade show for children's television or something, I don't care if they were dressed up as SpongeBob's.
Well,
so long as there weren't any children there alongside the adults.
I think they were exchanging literature and DVDs.
Are they Smurfs? Are these Smurfs?
Accosting people on the street. No, I wish I knew what it was, but I'm glad I don't know what it is. But I know it's someone, a princess riding a unicorn that flies. Okay, whatever.
All righty then.
Okay, so anyway, let's transition from that.
We'll get some cards and letters on that, I'm sure.
Yes, I'm sure. The Angels of Mons. Now, I'm just going to bring this up really kind of briefly because we brought this up about 2 months ago, and we got some letters. Now, Angels of Mons, what happened was early in World War I, where the Germans were attacking Europe. This is World War I now. The British Expeditionary Force was in France, and they met them at this place called Mons, the village of Mons in Belgium. Now, the Germans were like 200,000 soldiers. The British were like 70,000 soldiers. The British were very much outnumbered. But what happened was they had this battle there, and the British didn't win it, but they stopped the German advance. And so back home, that's kind of like a victory. And what happened was, and then like the next day, the Germans basically stopped and took a breath. The British Expeditionary Force retreated, and then you get into the whole World War I trench warfare thing and everything. But the way that it was depicted back home in England was that how could the small number of British troops defeat this huge number of German soldiers? So the story started making the rounds, not immediately, but in the weeks afterwards, about that a flock of angels appeared on the battlefield and shot German troops with their arrows.
Wow.
And they were the Angels of Mons, right? So this story, now remember, we're back in 1914, so it's not mass media. It's like newspaper stories here, there, everywhere. I guess they had radio, I'm not sure. But the story kind of like spread, and how it started, whatever, I don't know. But the emails that we got was we in passing mentioned British propaganda might have been responsible for it. So, I looked it up a little bit, and there is a story. So this story like became widespread in England, and it was a very much like a morale booster. And a lot of people kind of got behind it. A lot of ministers in churches would talk about it, the miracle at Mons, and so on and so forth. But just to prop up the English population morale-wise, because at that point they were losing the war. So if it turns out that a minister actually gave it during a like a homily or whatever during a service. British propaganda picked it up and distributed it to all these different newspapers in England. Okay, so you think, well, it's just spin, but there have been like books written about people who have like gone back and looked and so on that swear that like German soldiers have arrow wounds in their body, and I don't know. Yeah, how can it possibly be true? But there's, I guess, two sides to everything. So anyway, that's what I just want to explain. The Angel of Mons, the British propagandists, at the very least, picked up a story and kind of made it more widespread because they thought it'd be good propaganda-wise. How's that sound, X? You used to be in the business.
Sounds good.
Mack, can I add something to that?
Yes, please.
Part of the story that I read is that rather than the angels shooting arrows, that what they did, the Germans had outnumbered the British soldiers in the field there in Belgium, and they were starting to attack the British. and all of a sudden these angels or these bright things in the sky pretty much blinded the German troops, or they interfered with their vision. And what the Germans looked down, it looked to them as if all of a sudden this small contingent of British troops was all of a sudden being reinforced by large numbers of troops.
Wow.
And that's when the Germans just stopped, because they didn't know what to do, and they let the British retreat. So that was another part of it I read, other than the arrows. So that's, to me, that's more believable.
Not a victory.
Than, than shooting arrows.
Right, yeah, sure.
That there was something that blinded the Germans for a period of time, or that affected their vision on the field, on the battlefield, so that they stopped the attack.
Could have been the setting sun.
So I don't know if you had read that at all, but I saw that.
But there's been, the whole in
that
this,
sounds good.
Yeah, there's this kind of, I don't want to say a myth, but there was a well-known story throughout World War I about the Angels of Mons. And people wrote books about they did paintings about it and lithographs and stuff. So it got into the people's consciousness. And then, but a lot of people kind of blamed, at the very least, British propaganda people for kind of, throwing gasoline on the fire. So anyway, now we're going to get into Fatima, and I'm just going to say that what I remember is 1917 or so.
Cobra had a question there.
Oh, I'm sorry, Cobra, please. I don't want to introduce him in his...
I actually spent a few nights in Mons when I was stationed in Germany. This story is still very much spoken about there. And the interesting thing about it is that what Clubb was alluding to in some of the depictions, that it almost seems that the Germans were wrapped in like a fog or a smoke, almost like a camouflage kind of thing.
Yep.
And then it was almost hallucinogenic, that they believed that the British were in much greater numbers than they were. And there's no question that the propaganda of the Allies grab onto this, because both sides used religion to say that God was on their side for this. I remember speaking to a priest of that era that was retired, and he said, "Yeah, we never been able to reconcile the fact that on both sides there were clergy that were blessing the troops before they went to kill each other."
Why?
But there is a lot of really interesting artwork that surrounds this thing with Mons, and it took on its own dimension about 10 years afterwards, before it and lead up to World War II. And I will say that Mons is the site of some incredible amount of battle in the air and on the ground in World War II. So it's something about that area that seems to hold a lot of.
See, if I was a German, I'd be pissed off. I'm going, what are you helping them for?
I thought you were on our side.
There you go. So listen, let's get the fact.
I used to have a German belt buckle. I don't know what I did with it, but it said "Got Mittens" on it.
What's that mean?
Didn't it?
You got mittens? You got milk?
Which is God with us.
Oh, wow. Hey, listen.
God with us.
Clubb.
Right on their belt buckle with the swastika.
So Fatima happened.
Pretty cool.
Now, let's go back to what that area is. Now, World War I has been going on. Portugal has been a neutral country, but then they kind of dragged into the war. No one wants to go. They get like several thousand people killed for nothing. It's a very much kind of a right-wing, we control the press type of a government. And then one day, these three kids are out tending their sheep, whatever, and in Fatima, Portugal, and they see a vision of a woman who identifies herself as the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Mother of Jesus Christ. Clubb, you can fact check me. And she tells them, I'm going to come back on, in a month interval or whatever. And every time she came back, there were more and more people there because the word spread, until finally when she came back, there were like thousands of people there. And the thousands of people literally saw the sun dance in the sky. Now, the reason I mentioned the right-wing politics of the country was that the newspapers were controlled by the right-wing politicians. The reporters said these newspapers would be unlikely to make up a story about seeing this religious event in the sky. But it got to the point where in this thousands of people were first rained on, and the sun came so close to them that had dried their clothes. And these are stories written by government-controlled press who are very anti-Catholic. So if you look at what really went on, and you take the religious aspect out of it, you have to think, well, is this just like another UFO sighting? Is this just another whatever we call UFO sighting? So now I'm going to throw it to Clubb, because I know Clubb sent me an email today, says I disagree with you, so I can't wait to hear this. Clubby.
Yeah, well, I did some research, Mack. The whole miracle of Fatima, or as they called it, the miracle of the sun, is well known by the Catholics, obviously, because it's about the Virgin Mary. But I think a lot of other religions, really don't know a lot about it. I think you were correct when you said, during World War I, there was a lot going on then. Portugal was a country that, although most of the population are Catholics, the rulers were all non-religious, we'll say. So they didn't really go along with a lot of that. First of all, this whole area of the miracle, there's a lot of skepticism about it. There's considerable research that has been done by a lot of, UFO investigators. But I'd just like to go over a couple of the key points of it and give you a couple of the skeptics and what they come up with. And
yes.
Mainly, I know in your book, The UFOs in Wartime, you sort of came to the conclusion that it was a non-religious event. And I, after doing a lot of research, not just the fact that I'm a Catholic, but I'm very open in my views on things when it comes to that, just like I was on when we talked about reincarnation. I don't follow it. I like to form my own opinions. But anyways, that was a very difficult time. It was in 1917, right in the middle of World War I. It actually began the year before, when the three children were visited by what they called an angel who was protecting Portugal. And the angel, a male angel, came to visit them and said, he visited them a few times during that summer of 1916 and said to them that, be ready because you're going to have a visitation, a very important visitation at some point. And that led up to 1917 when these three children, ages 10 to 7, one girl and her two cousins, they were shepherds. They were out in the groves with their shepherds and with their sheep. And they had their first contact with the lady. And she came to them and basically said, I'm going to come and visit you on the 13th of every month for the next 6 months. So it started in May and ended in October. On the 13th, she appeared every time on the 13th except in August, because the children were put in jail by the government, who didn't think it was a religious event, and they thought the children were, creating havoc. So then the children were released after all the people heard about it, and they had the sighting. Anyways, the sightings. She came out when she met with them and giving them particular information, particularly to the oldest person there, Lucia. She was only about 10 years old. She really directed everything at her. But she did explain to her certain things that were going to happen in the future. And as Mack mentioned, they had sightings, and first time some people came. She didn't want it known, but eventually it got out. So finally, the last time that the sighting was scheduled, October 13th, about 70,000 of the public showed up. And it was a rainy day, and the reports are that all of a sudden it got brighter, the rain stopped, the sky cleared a bit. It was still very cloudy, but enough that they could see this bright sun. And the girl was instructed, Lucia, to tell them to look up at the sun, which they could do because of the haziness of that day. They looked up there, and all of a sudden they saw the sun spinning, in which they addressed as the dance of the sun. And that could be viewed in an area of over 600 square miles. So aside from the fact that many of those people saw the sun doing these odd things and with the colors, messages were also going from the, we'll say, from the Blessed Virgin to Lucia. No one else could hear them, but she gave her secrets, and those secrets, there were 3 of them over the years, weren't good news for the world.
Right.
But the main message she was giving to the kids was, pray for peace, look for peace. Everything was peace. And when the sightings, which happened, appeared, this wasn't the first time. These apparitions happened a number of times, and they always happened during wartime, or most of them did. So this tied in with that.
Right.
So anyways, when you talk about the whether or not this was UFOs, a lot of the skeptics, and these again are UFO scientists, they considered it was caused by mass delusion. All the people were the same religion, and they believed in the Virgin Mary. So they were trying to debunk it with that. However, as you mentioned, Matt, there were 3 reporters there from newspapers from around the country.
Yes.
And they witnessed that. And so that's one of the things that was very important in this thing. But there was an author, a person named Ingo Swann, and you might have heard of him. He was big in the paranormal world. He was he wrote a number of books. He was an author. He was a scientist. He also was the co-founder, of the
the military remote viewing program?
Yes, he co-founded remote viewing, and he was actually the head of the CIA Stargate project.
Yes.
This guy was no lightweight.
Yes.
And in his book, in addition, he was an atheist.
Yes.
But in 1978, he did a lot of research on this all of the different apparitions. There were 22 of them over the years, but particularly in Fatima. And he came up with a conclusion that there was something to it.
There you go.
And here's someone who was a known atheist.
Right.
And, so I read a lot about that, and I've listened to Ingo over the years. He's passed now. But, he's been on Art Bells for a number of years, and he's pretty credible, and he's got some pretty good background. So anyways, based on, what he had to say and some of the information and the fact that a lot of these reporters were there, I really think there was something to it more than just a non-religious event. I've never seen any of these UFO sightings so far that they've come down and talked to anyone.
Nothing like
telling
this.
them look for peace and all that. This was the only time, and so that's why I feel strongly about that. And just so you'll know, the 2 children, she had told Lucia that the 2 children are not going to live a long life, and they died 2 years later of flu. And Lucia ended up becoming a nun.
Yes.
And she lived to age 97.
97.
So that's 97.
Wow.
And she did go back. She told she finally was told by the apparition not to give the last secret until 1960. And that's when she did.
Yes, I remember that.
That's when the Pope wouldn't reveal it.
Well, there was.
So, anyways.
Well, there were 3 secrets.
To me, it could be a. Excuse me?
Yeah, there were 3 secrets. She gave the kids 3 secrets. One of them, the first secret, was basically, you have to have peace on earth. Everyone should be kumbaya. Number 2 was kind of, same thing, peace on earth, whatever. And then the third secret was supposed to be so bad that they couldn't open it until 1960. And when they opened it in 60, they said, we're not going to reveal it. And then like in the late 70s, there was a pope who was only pope for about a month, and the rumor is that he read the third secret and had a heart attack and died. And that's how...
That was the 80s.
80s or whatever.
John Paul I.
Again, there's different opinions on that.
Right.
The one I heard is that he opened it and said, not as bad as people seem to think.
I heard that
just for correction, first secret was the vision of hell.
Yes. Oh.
Also, in that Russia would convert.
Well, second secret
swing and a miss.
Was a recommendation of the devotion to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. And I'd like to add that Mary and St. Mary and St. Anne are the only 2 women that are identified in all 3 of the principal faiths of that part of the world of Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. very interesting that those three are all recognized with a certain amount of reverence.
Yes.
And the third secret you're talking about is the one that was supposedly transcribed by the Bishop of Liera, if I remember correctly.
Go ahead.
And this is the one that has all the controversy because when the Pope looked at it,
yes,
tears enclosed it. The Vatican would not disclose what it was.
Right.
But many of the instances that were brought up seem to match. There's one important thing that I always like to bring up about Fatima.
Yes.
And that is this followed a sun cycle where the aurora borealis was seen in the northern hemisphere as far as North Africa. Okay. Same kind of timing occurs
during the day
on both of the related Fatima experiences.
Right.
Just interject one point of history to correct a misconception. In 1910, there was a revolution where the so-called Republican government in Portugal overthrew the constitutional monarch. The Republican government was extremely anti-clerical and anti-Catholic.
That's what made it so weird, right? That made it so weird. For the newspapers,
they were the opposite.
They were the opposite of what they wrote.
They were
totally
against the Catholic religion and priests and nuns.
I heard that
they were finally overthrown in 26. They were not.
Try to give him a plug.
Fascist.
Yeah, I heard.
So, are you telling me that fascism doesn't throw out religion and freedom of speech?
But that's another show. What I was going to say is, I heard the third secret was to buy X's friend's book. What's the name of the book again?
Oh, this will definitely be the answer to that third secret question. Wolf of Clontarf. The Irish, the Vikings, and foreigners of the world. And if anybody just Googles Wolf of Clontarf, Clontarf,
yep,
it is replete with a lot of information on this book, which apparently is tearing up Europe and the U.S.
You must be jealous of your friend, are you?
I'm very jealous of that guy.
They have a little voodoo doll you're sticking pins in.
Guy on a world book tour now?
I don't know, X. If I had your looks, I wouldn't be jealous of anybody.
This is X's friend that's not. Wow. So,
Mack, can I just conclude with one other fact?
Please do.
Yes.
In 2017, Pope Francis approved the vision as a miracle.
Wow,
So the church, after all that time, has approved it as a miracle. And the church doesn't like a lot of that fanfare. So for that, after all those years of investigation, to be approved as a miracle, makes you think.
Right. They do go through.
And, we don't know whether it's UFOs or whatever, but my personal opinion is I do believe it was a religious.
Well, that'd be great. I mean, the idea is back then, I mean, even now, for them to declare a quote-unquote a miracle, they do really have to go through a lot of investigation and research. They don't do that lightly, okay? In my opinion is, if that was a religious experience, then there should be more of them. There should be more signals from somewhere else that it isn't just us. You know what I mean? Especially these days. But I have to also say, before we're going to come up on Switchy's segment, my hat's off to you, Chubb, for having a shirt on that matches exactly the color of your Yeti mic.
I'm glad you noticed.
Yeah, just goes blends right into
that for you.
Anyway,
it's rather angelic.
Is it? Yeah, in a way. Yeah, and then the pumpkin, switchy.
And then you have the whole pumpkin, and what's on the hat of the pumpkin?
That's
Patriots hat. Looks like
a Patriots
championship hat from many years ago.
Yeah, many years ago. Don't say that. Never say never. Switchy. Okay, Ireland, right? You're not Irish, but go ahead.
Yes, Knock, Ireland, and one of my sources is from the same book that Clubb mentioned.
Yes.
The Great Apparitions of Mary, an examination of 22 supernormal appearances by Ingo Swann. We did a segment on Ingo Swann years ago when he remote viewed the far side of the moon with some clandestine military outfit.
I remember that.
Okay, it's August 21st, 1879.
Interesting.
This is in the Republic of Ireland toward the west side. And there was a chapel built in 1829 when Catholics were able to get some measure of freedom because they hadn't had it before. And but this area was kind of, there weren't many people there. It was very depressed, still suffering from the potato famines of 1840 to 1851. Now, on this date, August 21st, 1879, as the afternoon went on, clouds poured in from the Atlantic, and it became misty. But then, as nightfall came, it just poured rain. And but what happened was there were people were starting to see by the church there what at first they thought were just statues. There was it was a lady, Miss Carty. She saw it first, and when she went by, she wondered. She looked at them because these figures she couldn't make out because they're too far away. But there's this light enveloping them. She thought, well, where did they get those from, and how are they going to pay for them? And then a housekeeper, Mary McLaughlin, she was a housekeeper for the presbytery, and she went to go see a friend of hers after she was done, a Margaret Birney. And when she passed them, she saw these beautiful figures in the distance, but she also thought they were statues because there was no movement. And even though they were all kind of lit up, she figured, well, they were just brought in from Dublin or something. So Margaret, her daughter, Mary, also saw them and didn't say anything at first because she wasn't sure, if she would be believed of what she was seeing. And so both Marys went back to the church, and they saw these three figures. They seemed to be hovering above the glass. Their feet didn't touch the ground. They're not moving at all. And what the girls decided was the lady in the center, they figured was Our Lady. Was actually Mary. And the figures on either side were St. John and John the Baptist. Now, this is, similar to other. People have tried to connect this to UFO phenomena as well, where people see the bright light, and instead of the apparitions of religious figures, they might see grays or some other contactee-like entities. But anyway, the alarm was sounded, and several people saw this. Some estimates say 200 people saw this, and the event lasted for several hours. It finally faded out at about 11 o'clock. But and there were 14 people that testified to the archdiocese. Now, a couple people tried to actually. One lady, Bridget Trench, she was 75. She was so overwhelmed by the figures that she went to wrap her hands, her arms around the figure of Mary, and she was going to actually kiss her feet, I guess. And she just went through it. The other thing is that there was, like they mentioned, that there was a lot of heat, I think, came from Fatima. There was pouring down rain, but it was completely dry underneath whatever these figures or apparitions were. But not every. Now there are a lot of people. Like I say, the people from they went from 6 to 75. 14 people testified before the diocese, and they all reported basically the same thing. But not everybody saw the same thing. There was a young boy that said he saw 3 angels with wings. Another one said he saw 2 angels flying back and forth. So, but then also there were other repeat visits. January 2nd, 1880, and the Archdeacon Kavanaugh saw them. He witnessed it along with in these other 3 encounters. A lot of people witnessed these. In January 5th, 1880, 2 of the Royal Irish Constabulary saw them. And then again, they had returned on June 6th. But they also were accompanied with something else that is seen in a lot of paranormal phenomena, balls of light. And then also healings followed. A 28-year-old woman was not able to hear from the age of 6, was healed. John McKenna had lost his sight for years, regained his sight. There's something like 200 people over the years that are documented, and apparently they still claim it happens. People that come to this area are healed.
Switch, did they speak at all?
No, they were absolutely, and that was it. When they there were people trying to, even the scientific skeptics of the time, they took a lantern to project an image on the wall of the church to see if they could redo it. Somebody else said, well, they must have been seeing the stained glass figures in the windows. But none of this explains what they saw, whatever they saw. And there were so many different witnesses that it was certainly some kind of a real event.
Right.
One thing I wonder about is we talk about paranormal mimicry. There are some that think that there are real nuts and bolts UFOs, real cryptids, real Bigfoot creatures, but there's something in human consciousness that mimics these things. We have Bigfoots that disappear when they're shot at, or they go through walls. We have supposedly nuts and bolts UFOs that change shape and don't follow any kind of physical laws. Right. Is it possible that, in fact, some religious miracles or apparitions are from above, but others are counterfeits? I mean, it was interesting, that book, and there are many, many apparitions of Mary. And sometimes the people imprint on the experience what they're seeing. Because sometimes it's not even, you can't see a face. It's kind of a white figure. And I think in Fatima, isn't it true that she never identified herself as Mary, that was what the children believed?
She didn't identify it, but the year before I had mentioned that there was an angel, the angel of Portugal, who told the children that she'd be coming. The angel did say that it was going to be Mary.
The B of M.
You're right. I don't think she ever identified herself.
Switchy, in the 2 minutes we have left.
Yes, okay, go ahead.
So, I mean, I guess I want to say, was there any rational explanation, or was it just... Did anyone go in depth into?
Not really. Some of them said, well, families got together and they made it up, which doesn't make any sense. They said, well, it was some kind of a mass hallucination. I can't buy that either, especially with subsequent visions. So I don't know what it was. There was no communication. It was like a projection. But this is the late 1800s. Right. What kind of technology could pull that off for hours in the rain?
Right.
So something happened there, but I don't know what happened.
Even the Rolling Stones road
Mary shows up a number of times. There is, I think it's Getzwald, Poland in 1877, same kind of apparition that shows up. My question to this esteemed group of the Potseg.
1 minute.
As we'd like to say. If it is some kind of extraterrestrial, or as we have often commented about the interdimensionality of all these things that go on.
Yes.
So what? Your reaction?
So what? I don't know. I think it's probably all part of the same thing.
So what? I mean, if it's 30 seconds. We've talked about it. This show has led the fact that none of these things happen in a vacuum or a stovepipe.
Okay.
The crossover to UFO activity, Bigfoot, paranormal activity, voices that are heard, replays of time, space continuum, all that part. I mean, very few shows have ever been willing to go through that whole platitude of different colors on the palette and throw it up onto the beautiful canvas.
Yes.
My point is this. So what? If you are a devout Catholic and you are absolutely sure this was Mary, how do you not be willing to be open to the fact that this opens up a whole world of possibilities?
If it's true.
That salvation is connected with.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
If it's true.
Stay tuned. More to come.
Right. I mean, we're also the show that it was in the top 10 questions for Juan once, that he looked at a Christmas card and he thought Mary was hot. Remember that?
I mean, Mary... I think Cobra's right. So what if it's UFO or whatever? It's the fact that...
Never done better. I'm sorry, Juan, I have to talk over you. Never done better than Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Well,
if you see the part where Curb Your Enthusiasm talks about the living display of the nativity, you'll know what I'm talking about. Right, the audience itself.
Beat him up, Joseph, right? That's the line in it, right? Anyway.
Correct.
So listen, we're drawing the train into the station. Can you believe it?
Okay. Yeah, wow.
Someone
Time
going,
flies.
Whoa. Yeah, when you're having fun. So I want to thank everyone. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Matt Phillips calling in and telling us all about his coffee for veterans. What's the website again there, Coco? Can you remember?
MilitaryJavaGroup.com. JAVA group.com.
Right.
The best coffee you can get, and when you have a cup, you're paying it forward to our troops.
50% goes to our troops, which is really cool. Thank you, Matt, for joining us. Okay. Thank you, X, for enlightening us on what soldiers carry, what they carry. He spent all that time in the Army, 22 years.
All I can say is pretty tough. The more you carry, the more miserable your life.
Right. I mean, how could it be any other way?
There's a book about the Vietnam War called "The Things They Carry."
Right. Yeah. By Tim O'Brien.
By Phillips. Right. I forget the author.
Tim O'Brien used to teach at Emerson. Thank you, X. Thank you to Lois Lane for joining us so long ago and announcing the winners of
Definitely
the big Mack Maloney Battle of the Wingmen on sale everywhere. The 6 winners getting signed copies, autographed copies. Thank you very much.
Phenomenal. That's the series.
Clubby, thank you. Willie Clubb down there in beautiful Methuen, Massachusetts. Thank you for joining us. Let's give him a round of applause. And for being...
Thank you. This was fun. It really was.
And being color coordinated. I mean, I don't know.
You have to start doing YouTube.
Yes. That's what I mean. We should be a TV show. Can you imagine this? Can you imagine people watching what really goes on here? Switchy, thank you, Switch, for that enlightening report, even though you're not Irish. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
You see the enlightening image behind me?
I like that image.
A train wreck.
Suggesting the show is a train wreck?
A train wreck. He's the John Lennon of the band. Yeah, no matter what.
Switchy, what does the word knock mean in Irish?
Train wreck.
Hill.
Oh, boy. Is he good?
Wow. He's brilliant.
Hey.
We are now a podcast.
Really good.
Clubb and I read the same books. We have the same sources. So
we are now.
How do you spell it in Irish?
I don't recall.
K-N-O-C-K.
Well,
yeah.
See,
K-N-O-C-K, but I thought you meant
correct.
Just
I've been there.
Just the CK.
Really?
I'm going to have to cut that.
You're
there? We are now a podcast.
Oh, you've been everywhere.
Right.
Where have you not been?
Brockton.
Brockton.
It's in Battle
I've been to Brockton.
DC Brockton. Okay, inside. No, wait. Hold it. We're now a podcast. We're on 16 different platforms. We're on Amazon now. We're on I Love Radio.
I Love Radio.
iHeartRadio. And
that heart-shaped
Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts, right. Just go to Alexa. Alexa, play Mack Maloney's Military X-Files on Apple Podcasts, and boom, we're there. Thank you to everyone downloading the podcast. The numbers are kind of crazy. Thank you, everyone out there in our listening audience. Please look up Homes for Our Troops. Google Homes for Our Troops. They build homes and houses for military veterans of the Afghan and the Iraqi war, wounded veterans, people who can't get around as much as they used to. Homes for Our Veterans. And Ross also is the People's Mosquito Project. Our good friend Ross Sharp. They're putting back together a warplane from World War II, the People's Mosquito Project. What else do we have to plug? Anything? Going. Oh, wow.
Military Java Group coffee from Matt Wilson.
Right. And Wolf of
Sweetwater Donuts.
Sweetwater
Beyond
Donuts.
what we've already plugged, nothing.
Okay.
My friend's book has already been plugged.
Right.
Everybody's book has been plugged.
To death. Yes, as it turns out.
Okay, Mac, before you go, one last thing.
Yes.
We need to nominate the best looking on the crew tonight, and I am going to say that Clubb wins tonight. Clubb. He has the glow.
Hands down.
He's got the glow.
He's got the glow.
Jack-o'-lantern. He's got the color coordination with his Yeti.
Yes.
No one. I mean.
In the books. The books in the background.
I've been working on this all day.
Yes.
Thank you, Clubb.
Staging. It's called stage.
He's got a cool earpiece in there. I think he should run for president.
Well, give him 4 years.
Why not? Jesus God.
Give 4 years to get ready for it. Thank you.
I've got to tell you, he's a fashion plate.
He is. He's a fashion plate. And the books in the background give him that kind of, intellectual edge, right? And it kind of offsets the pumpkin.
It's not a fake
the creepy pumpkin.
It's real. That's his library.
That better be a Mack Maloney book.
Reaching for a real book.
Books.
That may be Wingmen 18. We got to wrap this up.
Great works.
It's like Masterpiece Theater.
Thank you. Everyone sticking with us. And until you hear us next week, this is Mac for the entire gang saying be safe, be happy, and
bye-bye.